What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going to tell you all about why I think, after a lot of thought and a little bit of investigation, why Myth and Goal by Blacklist Games failed. Thank you to my channel sponsor, Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. I can cover the things I want to do just like this, at the production level that I do, at the quality and quantity that I do it, all thanks to them, because they are the cornerstone of this channel, and I thank them so much every single time for that. If you enjoy the videos that I make and you would like to give even $1 a month, there is a link down below. There's also some cool rewards you can get. I'll let you go ahead and look at that when you click that link. I'll kind of run it through everything there on that page, so I won't take up any more of this video, but seriously, thank you so much. Now, let's go ahead and discuss Myth and Goal. Now, as always, the focus here is just to try and figure out why this campaign failed to fund or successfully and complete, and what we can all learn from that, both as backers and as creators. So regardless of which side of the fence you're on, I hope you can kind of figure something out here, because I think I got this one. Okay, so let's actually take a look here. $184,884 raised from 1,479 backers, and the original goal was 100,000. So almost 200% funded and almost 1,500 backers just in the Kickstarter, not including Pledge Manager growth or anything like that. So I don't think it needed to be canceled. They chose to cancel it. So first of all, congrats on funding, but you still didn't make it across the finish line. In other words, it didn't make as much as they wanted. That's just how things work. For the most part, there is a certain, cost needed as well. However, looking at the game, and I'm not going to get too much into it, I'll show you a little bit, but looking at the game plus the actual funding goal they used, I think they still could have done it. Now, that doesn't mean they would have made bank on it, but as a business, some companies are okay making stuff and just breaking even, or maybe even getting a little bit less and actually losing a little bit of money on a campaign. A lot of indies have to do this. Or make a bid, but not as much as they want. And some companies are not willing to do that. Everything they do needs to, be a whole lot of profit, right? And so I don't know which this is or what's going on there. And there is a little bit of a strategy around funding a little bit the first time isn't enough, and you're not going to do it a second time, but if you cancel it, you might do it anyway. So they talked about maybe going retail, so whatever. Point being, they did fund, they chose not to deliver with that and taking everybody's money. So, if you look at it, it's essentially, Guild Ball, right? It's fantasy football, right? And so they have their little board and all their units and all this kind of stuff, and they have their kind of their core people here that all look fairly similar, but obviously the throwers here and the charging person's there, and that is generally the armor set. I think is a little similar, but the poses, I understand why they're actually a little bit similar, because it's easier to quickly know who's doing what, right? It's quicker, it's easier to look at the game if you know, okay, this person's that, right? So then they also had free agents, which is just the same characters repeated. Okay, so we'll get into that, plus, cards, dice, tokens, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, extra stuff and more stuff, and the expansions and a standee version here, and, just various packages and extra stuff you can get and do. Okay, so let's go to the comments, because I'm going to read to you a comment probably in full, and then I'm going to essentially comment on it, right? So, this right here by Stevie G, a super backer. By the way, Stevie, thanks for your exhaustive kind of summary. This will be very helpful for, I think, everybody listening, and then we can kind of discuss. So, He says, at James, a number of factors. I will try to summarize what I saw from the very start. So this is kind of a chronological order of what happened so we can all get caught up to speed. First, the campaign raised $120,000 in the first 3 days. Remember, they were at like 180 something by the time they closed. That third day was about 10,000 of that total. Then it struggled to bring in around 7,000 over the next 4 days, including day 7, where we lost nearly 2,000 with a 9,000 raise, bringing us down to 7,000. During this initial period, some people were asking for a version of I'll comment throughout. I can't wait. I'll forget. That's normal, right? Most Kickstarters, especially longer ones, huge funding at the beginning, a lull in between, and then big funding at the end. That's, if you go to KickTrack or anything like that, or just watch it, you'll see it goes like this, right? And in fact, there can even be a little bit of negative in the middle, right? And then go up. The only way most companies have found to consistently raise money in the middle is to add add-ons. It's why typically they add it over time, because especially if you're doing monetary stretch goals, then you're going to unlock a whole bunch at the beginning and then almost nothing. And then a whole bunch at the end. So to have it that almost nothing be something, you need to have your current backers back for higher prices. Is typically the case, or a subset of them. So you'll trickle in. Ideally, you're growing a little bit, but you can't expect a whole lot in that middle. And in fact, sometimes you can expect even a drop as just people fall off the bandwagon. Something else comes up. They need money elsewhere, whatever, right? You haven't taken their money yet. They're free to take it however they want. All they said is, yeah, I'll probably give you some. But until they do, they can say, never mind, actually. And sometimes that's a reaction to those add-ons, right? So as the add-ons come in and the all-in is eventually revealed and all that, people tend to, some of them will be like, nope, I'm out. If I can't have everything and I'm not willing to spend 400 or whatever, then they can be out. So very normal, nothing out of the ordinary there, actually. Even the drop, though ideally you don't see that, and that seemed to be kind of a big drop, but I think we're going to get kind of into why we may have seen some of that. During this initial period, some people were asking for a version of the game with just standees, no minis, and BLM added the Rookie Pledge. It would have standees, but was considered an entry-level game and would not include any stretch goals at that price. Okay, so now they've kind of changed things. They heard some feedback and they're like, okay, we'll offer that. So now it's different than kind of what they launched, and they kind of have to shoe it in there, and so they're not going to get any stretch goals, and they have to figure out pricing that kind of works real quick on the fly based off of maybe interest level stuff like that. BLM then revamped their pledges after the Day 7 loss and offered up the MVP pledge, which did not exist originally. Day 8 saw 12,000 raised, but we only gained one new backer. Again, that's fairly normal, especially when you add new stuff like an MVP pledge. Very normal. Though ideally there's a little bit more than one backer. But again, I've seen campaigns do it that way. So that was a lot of backers changing their initial pledge to include the enhanced pledge goodies. Very true. Very, very, very good. Then we had 6 more days and struggled to raise 3,000 per day. Again, very normal, because all you're doing there is relying on more people coming than going, with no real changes. During this time, the standee crowd have been asking for standee stretch goals. They didn't want, understandable, they didn't want a limited entry game to get their feet wet. They wanted the full game experience. Now that the stretch goals and add-ons meant that they would likely be 8 teams, they wanted 8 teams worth of stretch goals. And the regular crowd was getting very tired of unlocking 8 new team players, 1 player at a time, every 5,000 raised. Momentum was stalling and lots of grumbling. On day 14, so now we're 2 weeks into this, a new add-on, Halfling Team, was announced, and so day 15 saw a nice little spike in funding. We raised nearly 8,000. Again, that's how you do it in the lull, but only 16 new backers. So again, most of that was funding was existing backers adding on new stuff. Over the next 4 days, we raised not quite 16,000, so under 4,000 per day. It was during this final stretch that BLM announced a new Rookie Plus pledge. So this is now towards the very end, and they're adding a new pledge, a Rookie Plus pledge. That would include standees for all stretch goals included in the regular box. So I can tell you right now, if they had been able to have the time to figure out the logistics of that, which I'm sure is what they were doing, or act desperation, or, I mean, I'm not them, I can't say. And from the get-go, that would have been a lot better than saying no standees, no standees, no standees stretch goals, no standees stretch goals. Okay, I guess so. It'd be great just to do it at the beginning, obviously, right? More on that later. This led to much confusion. Many gamers were going to get standees they didn't want and would ultimately be paying to ship due to increased weight. Standee gamers were going to get a big pile of minis along with their standees, and they would also be paying increased shipping due to all those minis and storage and stuff like that too after purchase. Meanwhile, funding had started going backwards, and we never unlocked rat number 5 out of 8, which would have brought us closer to the 8th team. At $5,000 gaps, we needed to reach $200,000 to get the final player for that team. The 48-hour email had gone out, and no surge was happening. As I said, funding was going backwards for most of that last day the campaign was running. Sometime on the 10th, day 20 of 21 days, the campaign was canceled. So it started with a focus on minis, then split attention to standees. Initial funding was fine, then stagnated. It took forever to unlock a Lizardman team, one player at a time with stretch goals, and then we started in on another long stretch of the Ratman team, one slow unlock after another. Some people wanted to run 2 games at once, but the only way to get dice was to either A, add a rookie pledge for $50 and get standees, or B, add on another standard minis pledge at $109. So people who wanted to run leagues were looking at a hefty increase in price to get a second board. Throughout this time, there were some complaints that Blood Bowl might need up to 16 players per team, but Myth and Goal was a new game and only needed 8, so supplying double the minis for that other game detracted from the usefulness of this game. If BLM were focusing on providing 8 players per team instead of the 16 and calling the additional 8 free agents, then this game could get a lot more teams, or at least get some unique sculpts for free agents instead of duplicates. It kind of felt by the end that the intent of the campaign had wandered all over the place. It was a minis game with some standees that might appeal to new sports games, but also tried to appeal to existing sports gamers who played a different game. Jack of all trades, master of none. Well put, Stevie. Okay, so the problem here is creator vision, and the problem here is I guess sticking to your guns. And let me kind of explain that. So I am very big on this. I actually don't like votes in Kickstarters. I think they're rarely a good idea, in my opinion. Now, what's good about them? They get comments, especially if you say comment in the comments below. That increases your traction on the campaign, which various sites will look at, including Kickstarter, to see, okay, what's popular, what's not, right? So it's very well believed that that's one of the magic bullets to being essentially recognized, is having a lot of people commenting. So making an update saying comment down below A or B, right, gets a ton of stuff. The problem is that the moment you do that and 49% say A and 51% say B, and so you go with B, now the 49% who didn't want B and only wanted A are now a little bummed. If you had instead to say, we unlocked B without the vote, they would have been like, okay, cool. You know, maybe not my favorite character, but still neat. Or maybe they even would have liked it. But because they voted differently, there's that mentality in there, right? I've seen backers jump out because it was going in a direction they didn't want, right? It was like, oh, you know, could unlock the swamp area or the desert area, and I'm so sick and tired of desert areas. I just got done playing some Egyptian game, and I cannot stand another, a desert game ever again, right? Swamp all the way, swamp rules, go team swamp, they unlock the desert. Now I'm not going to get this, not only am I not going to get the swamp, but I'm going to get a desert, right? There are people who felt that way about the aliens and Nemesis. There are people who do that all the time. And it's understandable, right? The moment you give them the option and say, okay, now you don't get this option, it's a lot worse than just saying, here's a free gift, right? Part of that also is creator vision. I think that, for a Kickstarter to be ultra successful, it needs to have a strong creator vision. And that the company or the designers or the devs or whatever know what they have, know what they want to make, and make it. Period. Oh, you want to Sandies? Well, sorry, we're not doing Sandies. Oh, you wanted to use the team for another company's game? Well, no, we're making an 8-man team. This is different. Welcome to Mythic Bowl or Myth Bowl. That I think is what was lacking here. So also, if you try to please everyone, nobody's gonna be happy. If I tried to make videos that everybody liked, first of all, nobody would like them all. And I would be so sporadic, so all over the place that people wouldn't want to actually subscribe because I'm doing too much. You kind of know those channels, right? That like, and I'm not thinking of any specific channel here, trust me. Especially in that board game era. I don't know if anybody who really does this, but, you know, there are channels that like, Like even me, right? Covering Kickstarters, doing reviews, doing unboxings, doing talking points. There are people that probably don't like these talking points and could care less about my industry discussions and only want unboxings and reviews, right? And so they'll instantly not be as interested because I'm doing other stuff. I'm trying to do other things. Now I just do whatever the heck I like and they can deal with it, but that's that creator vision, right? That's what my patrons allow me to do. Thank you, patrons. Is that I can make the videos I want to make and just do that. And anybody who's up for the ride can join in. Welcome aboard. That's awesome. Not for you. That's fine. I hope you have something else to kind of ride along with. And you're welcome here if you want to be, though. And that's okay. And so not everybody's going to like this. Some people are going to be like, man, I wish there were standees. Or, oh man, I wish there was, 8 more of these guys so I could use them in this other game. You're welcome to jump in if you want, but this is where we're headed. This is where we're going. And you can see that, especially with the minis where it started with no stretch goals and added with stretch goals. Again, if Blacklist Games had decided, okay, you know what, I am going to make a standee version. We really want to do that. We've done our research and we want to do that. And figured all that ahead of time. That's a lot better than figuring it out on the fly. You almost never want to do that, especially as a business. Because a lot of it is number crunching and getting estimates and quantities and stuff like that. And, I mean, it's hard to do that on the fly like this. It really is, especially because you don't want to be cannibalistic in your numbers either. In other words, you don't want people that were for the minis then go to the standees, right? You didn't gain a backer there. All you did was have the same amount of backers and lost money because it's cheaper now. Or people that just jump ship because, oh no, there's another thing. Plus it confuses the campaign page too. Now this one I don't think is too bad, but if you have too many pledges, it can get really confusing on what you're getting from what, which is unfortunate. Now let's look at standee because I see this a lot. A lot of people ask for standee. Well, standees are asked a lot of the time. I'll put it that way. So we have the myth and goal, right? Base game, all stretch, 475. We have this standee version, Rookie Plus, with 36. And then we have this standee version, Rookie, with 38. So a total of about 70 people wanted standees, enough to actually back it. I think there might be more people that ask for it, but that doesn't mean that they're backing it. Whereas your main one, 545 for the MVP and 475 for that. So you're talking now about a very vocal minority. And I see this all the time with standee versions. I do, like, literally almost every time I look for it, I'm like, oh, is there a standee version too? How many people actually backed that? It's great to want to provide an opportunity for everybody. I've been tempted to do that. I make long review videos. Not everybody is set to watch a review video for 40, 50 minutes or an unboxing for an hour and a half or 2 hours, Bloodborne. I get it. Not everybody is up for that. I can't blame them. I understand it. So maybe I could start making like a quick kind of like a quick cut one where I edit it all down and just do the highlights and stuff like that. How many people would actually watch that? Now, I think that might actually do pretty good, but the views wouldn't lie, right? I mean, at some point you need to realize how many people are asking for something versus how many people are actually asking for something and they would actually put their money where their mouth is. And if I'm seeing 15 people ask for this, is that everybody? Is there, I think of the gift, there's dozens of us, I'm glad that the standee version was there for them, but obviously, there wasn't actually that big of a push for it. And so it sounds like they just wasted a whole bunch of time and probably lost quite a few more expensive backers fussing about, oh, okay, now we're going to include standees. You get standees now too, and you have to pay for that added weight and shipping and size and all this other kind of stuff, right? It's just unfortunate. You need a vision and you need to execute on that vision. And that's what you need to do. You don't need to be... It's good to have feedback and it's good to adapt to feedback to an extent. But at some point, you just need to say, this is the game that we're making. This is the product we're making. I hope you love it. But if not, that's fine too. Period. End of sentence. Walk away. That's all you need to do. So this, I think, was a good example of Blacklist Games trying to appeal to too many people and instead pretty much upsetting everyone. Which is unfortunate. Also, and this isn't necessarily why they failed, but I do want to point this out. I think it may have helped with this, but other companies have done this too. But so one of the things they wanted to do was make sure that people might buy their game just for the minis. In other words, they may not even want the game. And I know somebody who does that. The reason I had 2 copies of Descent here for forever, 2nd edition, was because I had the other guys, because he would normally throw it away. All he wanted was the minis for his D&D. So, there's this other big popular fantasy football game. Maybe we should, add enough minis so that people might just back it just for the minis. Just for that. Or see that as an added value. And I think that's always a mistake. Don't look outside for make your game the best game it can be. Now, the reason I say this is because there is D&D. And there's a reason fantasy board games do so well. And that's why sometimes sci-fi games don't. I'm not saying they can't be popular, but it's, I think, a bit more of a surefire way. If you have miniatures that are around the same size as D&D, that are fantasy-based with round bases, that it would fit on an inch, tile. And I mean, do you get where I'm going with that? And I've seen games actually make their game slightly worse, but ensure that it still fits the D&D stuff. And so, it's just focus on you. Do your thing. Right? I've as a creator have fallen prey to that a little bit, right? Where it's like, I'm looking what everybody else is doing, and I'm trying to gauge myself based off that and try and emulate that. I do my thing, and this is what I'm doing, and you guys are my people, and we talk, and we figure this stuff out. But at the end of the day, I'm driving over here, and this is where we're going. So I think that's really the goal here. That's my take on this. Let me know what you think, especially about this right here, where they funded and they could have released it and they chose not to. Always kind of interesting. It's interesting, I think, when a company says, no, I don't want $184,000 more than what I wanted to begin with. That seems like a very weird company decision to say, no, we don't want that money. And also, of course, that's not all profit, right? Obviously, they have to make 1,479 copies of it. They typically, quotes, start at 1,000, but they may have wanted more. And it's all sorts of fussy stuff there, of course, right? And then, of course, I'm sure adding more SKUs with the standee version, cut their margin of profit even less. And it'd be interesting to look at their books, of course, anytime this happens for any company. But just focus on your crap. Do your thing. Stop trying to listen to everybody asking for everything. That's it. All right, guys. Let me know what you think. If you were backing this, if you're excited for maybe a retail release, it sounds like that might be where it's headed. I don't know. It's very vague. The last update was like, we definitely think this is an awesome game. We'll release it somehow, some way, in some shape or form. Whatever that means. So anyway, all right, that's it. That's all I had, guys. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And again, if you want to be part of those patrons and help support this channel, link down below in the description below. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.